Okay, let's see. Is it working? Is it working? I doubt if it's working. Are you gonna try? Oh, it's starting. Okay, there it goes. You are live. It says I'm live. Shit. Okay then. Good to know that I'm live. So, yeah. So let's see. I'm gonna set this up so I can look at things in a different way. So don't mind me in a minute. Just don't mind me. I'm just setting things up so I can keep an eye on 3 things at once. There we go. That should do it. I'm going to wait a little bit before I start. Let me say for somebody to leave a comment. It's been a while, so. Is my quality even good right now? Like, I don't fucking know. Yeah, my quality's good on good, so that's a good thing. Okay, somebody watching. If nobody comments in the next 2 minutes, I'm probably just going to start anyway. So, here we go. Let's get a... You'll be back, light before. I will fight the fight and win the war. One more minute. Come on, somebody comment. Okay. It's been 2 minutes. I think it's been long enough to say that I think it's time to start the stream as it should be. Because nobody is commenting yet. It's going to be a short chapter because this is like chapter 6 and it's like only an hour and 18 minutes of the thing. But it'll probably take longer, you know, because, you know, the talking in between. So. hold on, guys. It's not detecting the sound here. So hold on, guys. I'm trying to figure this out here. So I don't know why it's not detecting the sound. I don't know why. Just give me a minute here. I'm trying to fix the sound. There's my mic. Let's see, advanced audio properties. I can't seem to get this to work, can I? Okay, so I'm just trying to... Settings. So the audio. Hold on, guys. I'm trying to figure out why it's not doing this. So hold on, I'm going to stop the stream and I'm going to try to figure this out. So hold on. Yo, hold on, just testing. Okay. I don't know what's going on with my computer. Well, let's see if that worked.
Going to discard a...
Yes, it worked. Okay, okay. 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 I think I resumed the stream. Sorry about that. I don't know what the hell was going on. So let's start from the beginning. Start from the beginning. Didn't really pay attention because I noticed the audio was not working. Which sucked major ass. It's a good thing I caught it now before later on. Okay. Let's get into it, shall we?
I know lots of other ways to take care of you. Don't worry. You're gonna get better. The rain had returned while we were in Ironshod Firearms R&D. This time it was seemingly an endless drizzle that cut the world down into a 30-foot bubble around us and rendered the ground a layer of slippery muck. It made what should have been a simple trek southwest to the Fluttershy Memorial Center a real toil. I wasn't going to discard a single bullet or bit of loot that might contribute to our 10,000 cap goal, though, and with P-21's injured leg and Glory's lack of pockets, I was left slogging through knee-deep mud while they trotted on ahead. I didn't worry so much with my EFS and compass. In fact, with the navigation tag up, I couldn't get lost. The rain gave me time to think, which is always a bad thing. 10,000 caps just to find out what EC-1101 was. And once we find out, what then? Deus was still out there, somewhere. So was Sanguine, who directed him. Then there was Hoofington, a city of technology and a city built on its hatred of zebras. A country within a country, as Glory had described it. A place of secrets. I'm not a smart pony. Why do I have to deal with all this complicated shit? Stop whining, Blackjack, P21 said from ahead. I'm not whining. I'm complaining. No, I'm fairly sure that's whining, Glory commented overhead. No respect, I tell you.
You really had to quote that
respect.
episode?
Never had I been so happy to reach a parking lot.
Season 1.
The rusted carts and sky carriages slowly decayed into heaps across the cracked, weathered, and uneven asphalt. Still, it wasn't mud, and that was all I cared for about the moment. Okay, that was a lie. But if I actually thought about all the things in the back of my head, I'd get a migraine. So I was in denial. Who could blame me? And that was a really big building. Even though, through the veil of rain, the Fluttershy Medical Center rose before us like an immense tree stump. Multiple wings branched out from the central structure. I'd never seen a structure like it before, which admittedly wasn't saying much. I simply couldn't help but think of the 20 megamarts stacked on top of one another. If Bottlecap had been right, this was my best shot at finding something to fix P21's leg. The yellow bars on my pip buck gave me a pause. One day, I'll find somebody who could explain how the magical cuff could tell if something was going to shoot me offhand or not. Maybe P21 could figure it out. Still, might as well be friendly, so I holstered the shotgun across my back and shouted into the hazy raid, "Friendlies incoming! Don't shoot!" The yellow bars immediately started to mill as we approached. P21 gave me a look, but personally, I would be less inclined to shoot a pony who asked me not to. True, I was an idiot, but still. As we got closer, we came across a low barricade of rusty sky wagons, and behind the barricade, 4 ponies pointed rifles at us. Pointing, but not shooting. I could live with that. Some pony needed some squatters removed? Yes. A buck called out into the rain. His tone sounded dignified, but just a bit like the overmare. I'm so grateful some pony decided to come. Please, come and get out of the rain. I immediately looked at P21 in surprise. Manners. In the wasteland. I walked past the barricade and towards the center of the encampment, where I now saw a long sky trailer that had been draped with canvas to create an island of dryness in the middle of the drizzle. The first thing I took in about the ponies sheltered there was they were clean, and not clean in a I was just rained on way. Their clothes were trimmed and patch-free. They wore some sort of light armor similar to my security barding, and their weapons were very distinctly of higher quality. Then I saw a unicorn inside the trailer, who had to be the pony in charge. Charisma and charm seemed to drip out of his ivory hide and cobalt mane, and he gave the impression of illuminating the dim interior of the rusty trailer. His smile made my knees feel just like I'd glanced up at the sky. Greetings. I'm Prince Splendid. You bet you are. I'm glad some pony responded to my requests in a prompt manner. Would you care for some refreshments? Sure. Refreshments sound great. Hot body, manners, and feeding us? This day just got a whole lot better. In fact, I was pretty sure that was the high point of my entire experience in the wasteland. Heck, of my life. Refreshment involved chilled Sparkle Cola, Rad, which had a deliciously sharp radish flavor, and more clicks on the radiation sensor, and some fresh carrots and apples. I could only imagine where he'd gotten fresh produce from. So, excuse me for wanting to talk business while we eat, but who exactly are we evicting from that building? P21 asked as he batted a half-eaten carrot around his plate. I gave him a sharp glare that hopefully said, "Do not
Ghouls?
piss off the nice unicorn with a hot flank."
Ghouls?
Members of the collegiate that have some academic interest in the site, Splendid said calmly, without showing the slightest bit of umbrage. I've tried negotiation with them, but they're adamantly refused. You know the collegiate. Actually, I didn't. There's nothing in Hoovington that they don't want to study, so we need some pony to convince them to leave until my business is concluded. And just what is your business here? I asked, giving him my winningest, flirtiest smile. True, I'd only employed it on midnight with little success. It must be important for some pony like you to be here. He looked at me with a momentary consideration, his smile softening before he sighed. My father is very old and very ill, with a wasting disease. Fluttershy's Ministry of Peace pioneered revolutionary medical technologies and procedures, from simple healing potions to mega spells that could reduce entire battlefields to rubble. I believe there might be something here that will restore my father to health. Without my father, I fear the society will tear itself apart. Society ponies will give you a meal, and then they'll tell you how grateful you should be to get it. The society? Ah, yes, you're from a stable. I should have remembered that you'd be unfamiliar with the various political factions of the hoof. My apologies. He stood and said with great pride, The society members are the descendants of the aristocracy of Equestria. Our king and leaders are related.
This is interesting because this is getting on the political side of Fallout. One thing I always found interesting was the political side of Fallout, because you have to start thinking about how they run governments and shit. For example, Megaton was ran by a single person, known as Slim, I think. I think his name was Slim. And he was the mayor and sheriff of the town, which was fucking awesome. Which I actually like that part of the thing. And because it was easily done and ran. The problem being is that he couldn't control everything. For example, Mr. Burke was actually trying to plan to blow up the place under his nose. Sorry, Then you remember Diamond City from Fallout 4. They had a mayor. They even had a security guard place. Of all the things. It ran great. And nobody entered in or out, but it was kind of corrupt.
To Princess Celestia, and thus we are the rightful inheritors of Equestria. He gave a great sigh. Sadly, few in the wasteland will acknowledge our bloodline claims. I tried to keep a pleasant smile as Stable 99 returned with a vengeance, and the Overmare popped into my mind. So, you think you should get to rule because your ancestors did? He smiled and nodded, pleased that I had gotten it. Great. That splashed iced water on my hot, steamy fantasy. He seemed to detect my skepticism and smiled graciously. I understand that the burden is on the society to prove its worthiness to lead. We don't expect every pony in the wasteland to bend knee to us simply because we say so. For 1,000 years or more, Equestria knew peace and harmony under an autocrat. Why should it not be so again? Somehow, the fact that we were in a rusty sky trailer drinking 200-year-old soda and finding fresh food a luxury made such a simple nostalgic desire both tantalizing and disappointing. Worse, Prince Splendid seemed to believe every word. So, you want access to the clinic. If I can convince the collegiate ponies to let you in, would that be okay? I asked, tapping hooves before me. Things were so much easier when I could just shoot ponies. If I lived, I won. If you can, that would be a miracle, but an acceptable one. We have no argument with the collegiate and their naive ideas. I merely want access to find something to cure my father. Still, a solution with no pony getting killed was preferable. Prince Splendid was a gracious host, but there was way too much awkwardness.
Are you related to
I
Prince
had to admit
Blueblood?
I was impressed by what I saw. His ponies were better armed and equipped than most. He had fresh food. That was a miracle in and of itself. It was simply the fact that the society seemed to believe it had some inherent rule, and right to rule. Even if he got his super cure for his father, who would it help besides ponies who already had so much? I stepped back out into the rain, with our stomachs fed, but my head, already struggled with earlier doubts and questions, now throbbed. Plus, it didn't help that my loins were very interested in Splendid, and I had no clue how to address that. In '99, I'd put myself on his breeding queue. No doubt Splendid would have had a backlog of years. Now, I doubt that it was as simple as getting him alone and lifting my tail. So, what do you think?
So, I thought particularly that Blackjack is just lesbian in general, but she swings both ways. Interesting.
I asked P21, and then frowned when I saw him staring out into space as he limped along beside me. Yoo-hoo, Equestria to P21. I swished my tail through his field of vision. He blinked out of his reverie and looking embarrassed? Yeah? What? Oh, I think, I stared in fascination as he actually stammered. I'll leave it up to you. Rarely have such ominous words been uttered by so level-headed a pony. I didn't think he could stammer. What's gotten into you? I asked, grinning as he went even redder.
He's gay!
Nothing. I mean, I'm just thinking about what he said to you. He scowled and then clenched his eyes closed. Never mind, he said as he limped ahead of us.
He's gay! He's
What
gay as hell.
What's that all about? I asked Morning Glory. Prince Splendid had been rather gracious to me. Is he jealous? I looked back at Splendid's encampment, and then at P21's backside. He was. It explained everything. I couldn't help but nicker. The gray Pegasus looked up at me in confusion, and with a touch of worry. You're asking me? Good point. We crossed the parking lot, heading towards the entrance, surrounded by sandbags and 2 turrets.
He's
Hello.
gay! He's gay! Which is fucking fantastic, honestly. I don't mind either way. But that is interesting.
Still, the bars remained yellow rather than red. Hey, don't shoot. One day you're going to give ponies some ideas, P21 muttered. Ponies scrambled at my call, and soon 3 pointed weapons from behind the sandbags. Go away! A buck yelled, his thick glasses looking almost like goggles as he gaped at us, standing in the rain. Calm down, I said as I sat. We don't want any trouble. We just want to talk, preferably out of the rain. Are you with the society? He asked at once, then blurted out nervously. Tell them we're not leaving. Their beam rifles looked like they'd fall apart with a sharp kick. Those turrets, on the other hand... I'm here to talk. If I can work out a deal where no pony gets killed, even better, I said truthfully. My name's Blackjack. In comprehension. I sighed and added. Security? Comprehension dawned, and they started to relax a little. As much as I hated to admit it, that little title of DJ Ponies was making my life easier. I'm Archie. Come on in, Gogglebuck said as he turned and trotted back into the hospital. It looked like this was some sort of emergency ward of the like.
What's up? Oh, my vitamins. Thank you.
Enjoy your mini snack.
It'd seen much better days. The butterfly wallpaper was peeling off in brown strips. A layer of muck coated the floor, and it looked like emergency beds had been converted into sleeping quarters. A strange drum hummed softly in the corner, providing power to a number of flickering terminals. There were dozens or so ponies working in the dingy space. So, are you the pony in charge? I asked. The brown buck with the scraggly black mane nodded. For now. My boss went upstairs a week ago and hasn't come back, he said nervously, as he looked at the three of us. Prince Splendid's tried to take over more than once. First he tried to sweet-talk us, then bribes, then he attacked. Must be something really worthwhile here, then, I commented lightly, and got a worried look from the twitchy brown buck. Something that a lot of ponies need, I amended quickly, and he noticeably relaxed. There is. When we got here, we found the upper levels were completely untouched. They must have sealed hermetically when the bombs fell, and only disengaged when the radiation dropped to survivable levels. He looked at several racks with medical goods stacked on them. Unfortunately, the team who went up there didn't come back. Neither did the team that went in looking for them. Now we're stuck here with the collegiate until they can send reinforcements. Prince Splendid thinks there's something here that'll help him with his sick father, I said, as neutrally as possible as I saw Archie's frown. There is. Well, probably, he said as he turned to the terminal.
Hello!
We found notes on several new
Hello, Waitson. Welcome back.
healing potions, targeted antibiotics, even regeneration spell infusions. He pointed at the terminal. If we could just find samples and study them, we might be able to discover how to make more. That could take years, though. The prince just wants to take the samples and use them. Even offered to buy them, as if he could put a price tag on this knowledge. Great. It looked like every pony that was above us. My mane started to twitch. Well, how about this, then? My friends and I take a peek upstairs and see if we can find your teams. Maybe find something to make both you and the society happy and every pony lives? What were the odds that I'd only find one dose of magical, experimental, super healthy stuff? Damn, my mane was itching like crazy. We left the emergency room and walked into the central atrium, stepping into a virtual forest. The interior of the massive structure was hollowed, and far above us, the domed skylight had shattered, allowing...
Wason here. Oh yeah, Wason. Before I continue, there's something that you missed. I found out that P21's gay, and I found Blackjack is bisexual. So,
rain and runoff to cascade down into the fountain set into the center of the chamber. Chipped and faded concrete vines coiled up the interior, giving the impression of being within some mystical wood. Butterflies and birds perched, frozen and forgotten for 2 centuries. Glass tubes had once held elegant brass elevators, but now they were smashed or leaned out toward the interior. In the center of the fountain rose the bronze statue of a Pegasus pony, one hoof around the shoulder of a young unicorn filly, the other stroking the mane of an earth pony colt. On her shoulder perched an elegant bird. At her hooves, a small rabbit seemed to glare rather insolently out with his forelegs crossed. A plaque at the base of the statue read, "We must do better." Looking at the Pegasus's gentle smile, I couldn't shake the feeling that the statue wept for all the decay around her.
You have no idea.
I asked Glory softly, feeling a strange sense of reverence and sadness. Fluttershy. She was a ministry mare and a friend of Rainbow Dash. She founded the Ministry of Peace and dedicated herself to helping the ponies of Equestria throughout the war. Morning Glory looked wistfully as well as she looked up at her. As the war progressed, it took its toll on her. Some claim she aided the enemy, despite orders to the contrary, and gave zebras medical supplies and other care. At the end, well, I was taught she went mad with grief and wandered into the wasteland to die. She simply couldn't live with having failed Equestria. I stared at the bronze statue a moment later.
She's very much alive.
If she failed, I can't believe it for the lack of trying, I said softly, as we headed towards the stairs. Morning Glory, however, examined the remaining elevator curiously. Something wrong? I think it's still functional. It just needs a spark battery and some scrap metal, she said as she peered at the panel in the center of the platform. I looked at P21. No need to make him climb 10 flights of stairs if we could avoid it. I checked my inventory and nodded, floating the components to her for the repairs. A few minutes later, the brass platform hummed softly inside its tube, and an eerie noise filled the air. "What was that?" I asked, as the three simply stood up on the metal disc. It wasn't music, but similar. "Birds," Glory replied, simply, as we lifted into the air. Higher and higher the platform rose, and I suddenly had to clench my eyes tight. There was way too much open space around me, and the glass walls didn't help. I levitated on my shotgun and reloaded the drum, checking the wear and tear that had built up over the last day. I was definitely doing a number on it. When the door to the 15th floor opened, I jumped through, breathing hard as I fought the urge to be sick. When my heartbeat slowed, I looked back at the elevator where P-21 and Morning Glory were frozen in place. "What?" I asked as they stared at me. No, not at me. Slowly, I turned to look at the wall opposite the elevator. In flaking black maroon letters, a single word was written, as if with a paintbrush. "Play." Oh, horse apples. Time had stopped as effectively as if I'd triggered SATs and simply left it there. My Pip-Buck's chronometer might have still marked the time, but every minute felt like an hour. Normally I'd be bored to stupidity, but here my every nerve was screaming at attention. Step by cautious step we walked together, me first, then P-21, and lastly Glory watching behind us. The word was painted every few feet, sometimes in elegant cursive and sometimes in wild, broad letters. The lights flickered and dimmed, but I was used to dim and uncertain light. I was not used to the soft, chiming melody that played all around us, like an invisible music box with a cylinder that turned just
I should put my leg down.
a touch too slowly.
I'm not wearing pants.
Hush now, quiet now, it's time to lay
go
your
to
sleepy head.
Hush
A filly
now,
sang
quiet
softly
now,
in the
it's time
hallway
to go
behind
to
us.
bed.
Slowly, P-21
Oh God! Now I gotta listen to that song. Hold on. Hush now, quiet now, it's time to go to sleep. Hush now. Hush now, quiet now. There it is. Just go. There's this remix I really like by After Math Makes Music. Okay, I can't play anymore for copyright reasons. So,
One and I looked and turned back to look at Morning Glory without saying a word. Our combined look was enough to silence the Pegasus. "Sorry," she muttered. I did not want to hear my childhood lullabies right now. There were other variances. Dolls hanging from the ceiling in the middle of the hallway. A stuffed rabbit tucked into a hospital bed. No, not tucked, strapped. 24 bed sheets stretched across the hallway, decorating the maroon houses and stick figures, and more detailed paintings of ponies, and fire, and ponies fighting, ponies dismembered. Something moved beyond the sheets, but when I yanked them aside, I saw only an empty hall. "What the hay is going on here?" I muttered softly. I suddenly found myself longing for Pony
It is.
Joes. Give me bodies, or something shooting at me, or something. Not freaky pictures and words written in dark paint. I glanced
you were right. This was kind of grimdark. I love it.
back and saw both of them staring at me. "What?" "She doesn't know?" Glory whimpered to P-21. "Apparently not," P-21 said as he looked behind us. "Know what?" Glory swallowed. "That isn't paint, Blackjack," she said at the black-red letters on the wall. I closed my eyes. Oh, I really, really wish she hadn't said that.
Yeah, you're kind of slow,
Of course it isn't.
Blackjack. You're kind of slow. Yeah, guys, I have a lot of. I have a lot of pent-up aggression from the field. Yeah.
I looked down yet another empty hallway and shouted, "Okay, you're officially sick fuckers. Come out now so I can shoot you." Then we heard a soft thump 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 in the hallway ahead of us. A bright red ball bounced down the dimly lit hall towards the three of us. No, not a ball. It was too irregular for that. It rolled to a stop at my feet, leaving bright, wet splotches on the floor. The face of a severed head was a mask of terror. A foal giggled in the darkness. "Cute," I muttered. This head was fresh. "Shit, shit, shit," P21 repeated over and over again as he stared down at it. "Calm down," I muttered, trying my best not to freak out. "It's just a head." As we watched, a knee-high door in the wall opened up and a small mechanical pony trotted out and washed off the smears of blood with rotating buffers on its hooves. I ignored the severed head. Now, that was some shoddy programming. Then it turned and disappeared back into its little door. "Maintenance robots. Morning glory."
Hashtag not a smart pony. Yeah. What's creeping me the fuck out is the kids.
Whispered as we continued down the hall past empty hospital rooms. The music box tone continued its soft, too slow melody as we reached a nurse's station. Everything neat. Everything put away except for a creepy little artifacts and assorted body parts. But after so many ruined buildings, the cleanliness disturbed me almost as much as the music. I tried my radio, but the only channels I could find had the same music box melody. We came across an active terminal. "Finally! Maybe there will be an inventory," P21 said with some relief as he focused on the terminal. I slowly panned the EFS, but my vision kept flickering as if something were jamming my signal. I knew that head didn't come from nowhere, though. He struggled for several minutes as the music box looped over and over again. Then there was a soft beep as he cracked the password. I looked over his shoulder and then frowned as the screen went blank. "Peekaboo, I see you." The scream that began to play from the terminal rose and fell at an ear-splitting volume. "Kill me!" she screamed over and over again between agonizing cries.
Oh my god.
I grabbed P21's mane in my teeth and pulled him away from the terminal. Then I put an explosive orange shell into the thing. Silence dropped around us until our ears recovered and picked up the sound of the music box. "What the fuck is going on?" P21 whispered, staring down the empty halls. "Want a gun?" I asked softly. "I'd just start shooting wildly," he muttered in return. Well, that was an improvement over saying he'd deliberately shoot me. We resumed our search. "Play," the sanguine words demanded. Yellow and red bars flickered so wildly on my EFS that I deactivated it before it made me feel sick. We came across a door with something new carved into the wood paneling. "Ollie, Ollie, oxen free." I carefully opened it telekinetically, revealing a dissected corpse rolled on into a fetal position in the tiny space at the bottom of a linen closet. She wore a nurse's uniform. Scratched into the wood before the body was a simple eulogy. "I don't want to play anymore." Morning Glory hyperventilated as P21 talked to her in a hushed tone,
What is going on?
holding the young Pegasus to keep her.
This is reminding me so much. This here right now is reminding me so much of Something Sweet to Bite, which, by the way, is my favorite horror fan fiction from My Little Pony.
Given that she herself had almost died of thirst in an equally tiny space, it was understandable. That left me with the task of checking the body. Her hide had dried to a leathery texture that cracked when I carefully swept it with my magic. I found an idea card that read Chief Nurse Tenderheart. A little magical glyph followed a gloat on the bottom of the badge.
Oh no. This is some fucking 200-year-old bullshit right here.
What's this? Morning Glory refused to look towards me, so I floated it to her. It's a key for special door locks. The kind that can't normally be picked, and need magic to bypass them. Hopefully, doors lock like the kind that protected experimental healing goods. Going up a floor hadn't helped. If anything, the scenery worsened. We came across storage rooms that had been raided. A cold room that Gloria described as a blood locker was completely empty. Drained potions containers were stacked from floor to ceiling. We found what I guessed was once one of the collegiate ponies. He'd been skinned and bristled from head to toe with spent needles. Mr. Needle is your friend, had been written above him. I really wanted to introduce some pony to Miss Shotgun. We encountered a box in the hall.
I like to introduce. I want to quote that. Hold on. I want to see. Hold on. I want to introduce somebody. I misspelled somebody. To Miss Shotgun. That is going to be forever a nice quote. Yeah. Yeah, I love it.
Little cube with 6 small pink hearts painted on each side. I couldn't explain why, but I had the strangest fondness for the box. There was a little handle sticking out of the side. I glanced at the others, reached out slowly with my magic, and began to turn it. All around the mulberry bush, the monkey chased the weasel. Glory sang softly, and I couldn't bring myself to stop her. I knew what was coming, but I was powerless to stop. When the note hit pop, the little top snapped open, and out flew a pony. No, half a pony. The skinned front half bounced back and forth on a heavy metal spring, front hooves crossed as it hugged itself. Bony wings flopped around behind it. "A Pegasus?" gasped Glory. When the box suddenly played the rest of the tune, there was a second metallic boing as its front legs popped wide and dropped 3 metallic apples.
So far, that is my favorite quote. So far, that is my favorite quote. Let me introduce you to Miss Shotgun. I want to introduce somebody to Miss Shotgun.
Through reflex, more than through my own telekinesis, I threw them away as the 3 of us hit the deck. Silence, silence, silence. Slowly, I lifted my head and carefully turned the nearest grenade with my magic. A hole had been neatly drilled in the bottom of each. Wait. Not sick enough. Run! I yelled as I grabbed P-21 with my magic and scooped Glory up as I bolted down the hall. A few seconds later, the bombs hidden inside each of the boxes had exploded. The 3 of us landed in a heap. How'd you know? P-21 murmured in shock, blood dripping from a nostril. The only thing more messed up than scaring us with duds is letting us have a moment of relief and then blowing us up with a real bomb. I don't know what concerns me more, that someone thought of that or that you figured it out, P-21 said with his usual dry smile. I stood and carefully trotted back towards the box, not really sure how to take that. I doubted there will be a second bomb. It wouldn't be much fun. Far more effective, yes, but whoever the fuck was behind this wasn't trying to kill us. That wasn't the point. I found the Pegasus torso and head. Is he Enclave? Glory glanced at the body, shuddering and looking away, then looked again with a small frown. She swallowed and walked closer. I think so. She's slightly deformed. Maybe dead a month or so. But we weren't supposed to go anywhere near the clinic. Only near raider nests. So this guy's not with the volunteer corps? No. He must be with security, she said softly. Surprise, surprise. I looked ahead with a scowl. Whoever's in here had better be worth it. I'm in a shooty kind of mood.
Yeah, I feel that way every time I play
Things didn't
Fallout.
improve as we encountered more bodies. A tea party
Yeah, when I play Fallout, I'm more like shoot first, ask questions later.
of 4 bony ponies around a petrified cake with their hooves nailed to the table and party hats on their heads. A body dressed in a foal's tutu impaled on a turntable. I was starting to become numb to the next horror around the corner, yet I could not stop looking. The music kept playing. I could barely hear things moving around out of sight. We found ourselves in a stage,
Sorry,
a staff lounge.
When she said impaled, I thought of that snowman from Frozen. You know, Olaf, where he's like, I'm impaled.
Everything was neat, clean, and tidy. I was starting to hate the cleanliness. I longed for a wrapper, an empty can, a soda bottle left on a shelf, anything that was a sign that at one time normal ponies lived here. I was getting sick of wooded wallpaper and frozen birds and butterflies. Oh, and grotesquely posed corpses. I longed for the boring gray walls of 99. I used the bits that we had to clean out the soda machine, sharing 2 of the fizzy drinks with Glory and P21. Anything that might have been a personal item was, by and large, missing. I did find a newspaper clipping posted in the bulletin board. It was so yellow and brittle I feared even touching it, with my magic as I read. The beginning had fallen off, but the remainder I could just make out. Intosh was 90 minutes from Ministry of Peace, care following the assassination attempt on Princess Celestia at Shattered Hoof Ridge. Thousands of soldiers and countless non-combatants suffered while waiting for medical care. Today, the Ministry of Peace, working in concert with the Ministry of Arcane Sciences and Ministry of Wartime Technology, has devised a means of preserving injury or sick ponies until such a time as treatment is available. No measure small. A small measure, thanks, goes out to the Ministry of Peace and the Office of Inter-Ministry Affairs. Without their tireless work bringing together ideas from all Equestria, we would never have been able to complete this new facility. Countless young lives would be cut short or left to misery. They are a testament to what needs to be done to end this war and open up a new chapter for us all. Fluttershy. A means of preserving injured and sick ponies. This is it, I said in excitement. If Blenheim can bring his father here, then they can just keep him alive until the collegiate finds a cure. Yeah, I love it when a plan comes together. Blackjack? Morning Glory said softly. I glanced at her and followed her gaze to the top corner of the room, where a carved white bunny sternly watched us. There was the teeniest little hum, and I watched a camera in one eye of the bunny slowly focus. We should get going, I said softly, leading us back to the empty halls. As soon as we were there, though, the door to the lounge shut behind us and locked with a solid click. Oh, that's
Doom Bunny. Doom Bunny. I remember seeing his death. His statue of his death. Because the cockatrice got to him.
That's not good. Suddenly, the lights clicked out, plunging the hall into absolute darkness. Then a red light appeared at the end of the hall. What the heck is... I started to ask, taking a step forward. From the ceiling came a sharp flash. Then I felt the bite of a beam weapon striking my chest. Suddenly, the red light turned green, and from the hall behind us, something metallic screeched, coming closer. I fired blindly down the hall, but the muzzle flashes only illuminated something big and bloody. Suddenly, the light turned red and stopped. We all froze. Oh, goddesses. It's a game. The light turned green and I screamed, "Run!" My magic grabbed P-21 and dragged him along beside me as the machine crashed along behind us. Red light, freeze! I bellowed, and everyone stopped. 1 second, 2, 3, 4. Green light! We raced ahead as fast as we could, but the crashing behind us grew closer. Red light. Silence. Green light. Red light. Green light. Red light. Morning Glory staggered half a step forward and cried out as the beam turret struck her leg. This red light, I could feel the soft tickle of breath on my hindquarters. I just stared at the red light as I floated out a little disc and set it beneath me. My magic hovered on the button. Green light. I pushed the frag mine's arming tab and wasted no time in dragging P-21 closer towards the door beneath the green light. The mine beeped immediately, and a second later there was a resounding pong of metal being struck. 3 feet, 2 feet, 1 foot. I was through the door and pulled P-21 after me, but Morning Glory was a few feet behind us. Red light. In the sanguine glow, I could see the vaguely canine grin of metal right behind her as she trembled, frozen in terror. Then, the door closed in our faces. "Glory! No! Glory!" I screamed as I fired several rounds into the door. It didn't even dent. I beat it with my hooves and the butt of my shotgun. "What the fuck do you want, you fuckers? What?"
What the fuck, Glory? What the fuck?
I screamed down the hall. "What?" My own voice echoed back at me. "Play," answered the blood on the walls. "Do you want to come with us?" I'd killed Scootle with ignorance. Now I'd killed Glory through incompetence. How could I have gone through the door without making sure she'd been through first? I'd seen her get hit by the beam. I should have known she'd be a few steps slower. I'd sunk down my back against the door, knocking my head against it with a shotgun cradled in my hooves. "Come on. We need to keep moving."
Okay,
P-21 murmured softly.
I must have got this backwards because I thought Glory closed the door on them.
I levitated the shotgun, shoving it controls first toward his mouth. "What are you doing?" He stammered in shock, trying to push it away. "You said, if I ever got another pony killed by being stupid, that you'd end me," I murmured, looking at my hooves. "Time to make good on it." "I'm not going to kill you for this, Blackjack," he said softly. "This wasn't your fault." "I'm the leader. Whose fault is it if not mine?" "Whatever sick fucker is behind this," he replied. I didn't move, still just trying to give him the gun. His stoic mask crumbled as I saw fear creeping into his features. "Blackjack, I can't do this without you," he said softly as he sat down beside me.
Hold on.
"Either I'm incompetent or I'm cursed. Either way, you're better off without me," I murmured. "Is this it? Is this the part where the wasteland breaks me?" "I don't know what to do, and I keep getting ponies killed that don't deserve it," I whispered. P-21 sighed, hugging the shotgun with his hooves. "I don't know what to do either. If there isn't a terminal or a lock, I might as well be back in 99. I'm so scared right now that the only thing I know for sure is that I'm going to die, and it's going to be ugly. I'm not you, Blackjack. I might be smarter than you, but I'm not as brave as you are." It hurt so much, but what could I do? Give up and die? That was the easy way out. The contemptible way out. Give in to hatred and just kill and kill and kill? That was so tempting right now. A bloody part of me craved it. Kill the collegiate, take their stuff, kill the society ponies, and repeat the process. Kill, take, and never feel again.
Kill.
It was a more thrilling form of
I'm
suicide.
trying to remember what that was from.
You keep going, knowing that it will never be enough. You spend every second trying to make it right, knowing you never can. Slowly, I reversed the pull on my horn and took the gun from him. I rocked forward and stood. I wasn't quite done yet. Despite everything, despite the fact that I was not a smart pony, a plan crept out of my meager brain. Worse, I was looking forward to it. P-21, you're 10 times sneakier than I am. You know terminals. You can pick locks and get to where you need to go. Somewhere in this place is someone controlling everything. You've got to shut them down. I passed him the key card. You're splitting us up, he said flatly. You know nothing good can come of this, Blackjack. It's the only thing I can think of. Together we're a big target. Alone, you might be able to shut them down. I'll be a nice, big, stupid pony to keep their attention, I said with a grin. I tried to keep it as I added, you might also find Glory. You really think she might be alive? No. I'm not going to give up just yet. Giving up hope was so 10 seconds ago. Just do what you think is best, and leave being a decoy to the night, smart pony. You're not stupid, Blackjack, he said quietly, then caught my arched brow. Okay, well, good luck. I loaded up the drum with orange shells and spun it once loudly, as I trotted in the opposite direction. As I trotted, I felt an old song nibbling at the back of my mind. I started to hum as the tune, as I slowly smiled. It was phenomenally stupid.
Sorry, this is little
But
wax sprinkles.
that was something I excelled at. You put your
Wax
right
warmer.
hoof in, you put your right hoof out, you put your right hoof in, and you shake it all about, I sang, tired of the music box playing in the background.
Don't you know you never split the party? In Fallout, I mostly go by myself anyway, so...
Okay, it was more shouting than singing as I charged down the hallway. You do the pony pokey and you turn yourself around, that's what it's all about. I paused, grinning as I heard the music box cut off, replaced by the very tune I was singing. That's it, you sick fucker. Pay attention to the crazy filly with a shotgun. You put one shell in, you take another one out, I shouted as I blasted another bunny camera. You load another shell in, and you blast it all about. You do the pony pokey, and you take the fuckers out. That's what it's all about.
Me. Me. Okay, I relate so well I relate so well to Blackjack right now.
Move fast, shoot, and shoot some more. If a turret popped out of the ceiling, I popped it before it got a chance to fire more than twice.
If anyone's watching this, I want fan art of
Don't
Blackjack.
mess with me, the spooky, fucked up shit. Shoot. Shoot.
It'll go on my
Kid.
wall.
I froze in the hallway, and the music cut off, as if with a knife. The fool stood there in a strange pink dress. Her lavender hide sported a massive scar running up her side, and disappeared into her pink mane that fell across her eyes. Her mouth was sewn into a grotesque grin as she stood before me in a doorway. Shoot, Blackjack. Play? She whispered without moving even her lips. Shoot her. Do you like my costume? Slowly, she tilted her head up towards me. Shoot, shoot, shoot! Her mane fell aside, revealing two red lights for eyes. Her mouth wasn't sewn in a grin. It was sewn shut. I want to be a unicorn, she hissed. The gun shook in my magical grip as I focused, wrestling with what was before me. Can I be you? The filly's dress ripped as two metallic tendrils burst from her shoulders. A razor-sharp scalpel, gripped in one, slashed across my face. I barely blocked it with my pip buck.
Mother of fucking God, what is this thing? What is this thing? It's like Mr. Handy meets Pony.
The shotgun roared, and a shell struck the filly in the face. The lavender hide ripped like cloth, revealing the smoking head of a small maintenance robot within the sewn-together skin. I put a second round into it, and it crackled softly before collapsing. Tag! I shouted down at the thing. You're it. We're it, a voice whispered down the hall. We're it. In the dim light, I saw 2 red eyes looking at me. 4, 6, lots. Play, they whispered in delight. Okay, I definitely had their attention. Now it was time to run. Catch me if you can, I laughed as I ran like I'd never run before. I had no idea if I evaded
The most deadliest game of tag ever. Or hide and seek. Dun dun dun!
the abominations, if they'd gotten bored, or if they were setting up more games. I'd moved up a floor, and there weren't any more hospital rooms. This floor was for surgery. The lights kept flickering on and off, making me jump as entire hallway segments appeared and disappeared. The music had returned, this time a cheery tune about cleaning up winter. Not only was it creepy, it muffled what little noise the abominations made as they moved. I found an office and pushed my way inside. It was heartening to see the lock on the safe had been opened and the terminal decoded.
That reminds me in Hellsing Abridged, they did something. They did, in Hellsing Abridged, they said something about the wrapping up of winter. Hold on. Hellsing Abridged. Never gonna give you up scene. The never gonna give you up scene is this. Rick Van Winkle's Rick rolls your asses. That's
You know the rules, and so do I. A full commitment's what I'm thinking of.
not this. Where is it? Where is that scene? Rick Van Winkle.
The game!
What game?
You lose! Lol, I'm so random.
Oh crap.
Our fuzzy selfish desire to win.
Hold on.
Have you acquired visual
Know what it means either. Looks to be someone sitting in the middle with a yellow parasol.
and looks like they're begging for
At least she's no longer.
I have no idea. I think it was popular a couple of years back.
At least she's no longer on about the ponies and the friendship and the wrapping up of winter.
never gonna
See? Did you hear that? Did you hear that? No longer about the ponies and the friendship and the wrapping up of winter. I love that. They quote bronies. They're quoting My Little Pony in that.
Whatever else had happened, P-21 was still out there. The safe held a healing potion and some gold bits. I walked behind the desk, setting the shotgun down in front of me. The specialty cells had one downside
thank you, by the way, for the
I hadn't
haiku.
realized. They wore my weapon down like mad. I didn't really want to try and fire it again if I could help it. Not without some significant repairs. That left me with the automatic pistol from the weather station, and Folly, which had no bullets. Carefully, I took out the pistol and loaded the blue spark rounds, interspaced with normal lead rounds. This office had been thoroughly trashed, but I really couldn't tell if this was the result of the abomination's vandalism, or if the owner had been a particular slob. The stacks of papers were also as high as my horn. With a weary smile, I picked up a file on top of one of the towers. Marigold, PH, medical authorization denied. Only the Ministry of Peace could have formed denial stamps with frowning bunnies, I supposed. Then, stamped on top of it in pink ink with butterflies. Medical waiver approved. Lucky Marigold. I could sure use some of that luck right now. I flipped through the first few pages and glanced at the picture of a blue unicorn with bright glasses, standing in front of some kind of missile. I was sure that, if I didn't have monsters after me, I'd somehow be even more bored. I tossed the file back on top of the stack and then started as the entire pile collapsed to the floor with a rustle. Sighing softly, "Great," I muttered, rubbing my eyes and hoping P-21 could find a way to stop all this. I sure wasn't smart enough to. I noticed a sound file loaded on the terminal. Why not? I hit the playback as I prepared my clips. At least it would give me something to do. Entry 1. I've taken control of the facility here. Data files have all been corrupted or deleted. We need to find the central mainframe if we're going to find anything worthwhile. Took us forever to get in through the roof, but thanks Celestia, this place is intact. We'll probably move our entire biomedical team here once it's secure. I've never seen so many medical supplies in one place. Nothing special, but we've got healing potions to burn. Entry 2. Found the stasis chamber in the mainframe. Dozens of pods still had power. They can just stay asleep for all I care. Some idiots severed the mainframe control. Scalpel, and got electrocuted for her trouble. Shouldn't be hard to fix. Once it's connected, we'll bring in the biomedical team. I stood and looked at some of the pictures hanging askew on the wall. Fluttershy looked rather terrified on a stage wearing a weird dress. Goddesses, she looks adorable. The yellow mare smiling shyly besides a purple unicorn with a pink streak in her mane and an orange-coated blonde-haired mare in a cowboy hat. The construction site in the picture looked like it might have been that of the Fluttershy Medical Center. Entry 3. Everything's up and running. Still some kinks to work out. We've got to kill the sound system. That music box is driving me crazy. Is this what they actually listened to 200 years ago? Entry 4. Brighthoof and Sky Sparkle are both AWOL. Probably fucking in the staff lounge again. Toys keep on showing up in the hallway. I think the soldiers are starting to get antsy. I need to organize some... Should be okay, though. The biomedical team found the... experimental, of course. But it's almost a megaspell level infusion. Practically a cure for death. Looking at the terminal again, I spotted a little square of notepaper. Please don't ask about that procedure again. RH. We've had only one success. I won't risk any more babies. I can't. I'm sorry. F. Entry gone. Something cut them apart. Skinned them alive. They were posed. It's got to be morn or night. Find them. They're arrested and command can figure out who to shoot. Fuck it. I'll shoot him myself and save the command the trouble. Roof access is sealed. The biomedical team is just gone. Somehow he took them out. He's the only one not accounted for. Somehow he got control. Fuck. I'm tired of this game. How the fuck could anyone on my team crack this hard? Tired of playing. I finished loading the last drum and clip for the shotgun, the automatic pistol. Shock rounds in the latter, slugs and explosive shells in the former. Then the recording started screaming. I didn't pale or freak out or shoot the terminal. I simply sat there a moment listening to the screams. Then I stretched out a hoof and clicked it off. I loaded a clip into the automatic, worked the slide, and walked to the door. I stood in the hall, looking left and right, then shouted at the top of my lungs, "Playtime!" It started as a whisper, then a murmur, then a roar. Pick a hall, any hall. I started running, but I was done with running away. Keeping the automatic in a careful grip, I fired the rounds ahead of me at any nightmare stepping into my line of fire. The maintenance robots sparked and jerked, ripping apart the skins that had been sewn around them. "Bad pony!" they cried as I used sats and dumb luck to chew them away. I paused only long enough to smash in their heads with a baton, just to make sure they didn't start moving again. "That's right, I'm a bad, bad pony, and I'm coming to spank you," I yelled out,
That sounded kinky.
half mad and all furious. I
That
giggled
sounded
as I
kinky
saw
as shit.
Slum turn and totter away. "That's right, time for spankings," I screamed as I chased them
Hopefully not a
down.
flank spank.
"Bad pony," a deep voice said from a doorway. I turned and looked at the huge, heavy robot draped in slabs of meat. Time out. It said firmly, as, with shocking deftness, it flung a glowing white ball of glass at me. A grenade, or something. I reached out with my magic to swat it back at the machine, and... what the fuck was going on? Why couldn't I move? Why couldn't I talk? Why couldn't I scream? Instead, I was lying on a couch and reading a newspaper about the continued outcry over assassination attempts at Shattered Hoof. It was as if I'd somehow been shoved into this strange mare resting on the couch. The only thing vaguely familiar was a pit buck, a far fancier version of my own, strapped to her hoof.
A memory orb. They use that trick on you. God damn.
White mare with graying pink hair stood behind the desk in an undamaged version of the office I'd just been in. She had a bright red cross on her flank, and a white lab coat draped over her shoulders and forelegs. She fidgeted with her pencils on her desk, nudging them back and forth. I looked down at her. Calm down, Dr. Redheart. Calm down? How can I be calm, Garnet? She's coming here. She tapped her hooves against the desktop. Is her the hospital after all? Garnet said, and I could feel her smiling. Redheart frowned and sighed. Still, I can't believe Cheerly went straight to the ministry mayor for this. I thought all objections had to be dealt with. How could she bring this up now? I'm more impressed that the ministry mayor is coming all the way here to talk with her about her reservations. It can take days to arrange a conference with Applejack or Rarity, and forget Rainbow Dash or Twilight. The pony I was in sighed and folded the paper. Her sparkling red hooves glittered from her pony pedicure. They're almost inaccessible, even for the OIA. Are things that bad? I hadn't heard. Redheart said in concern. My host waved a glittery hoof dismissively. Oh no, I wouldn't say they're bad, just tense right now. Everything would be so much easier if they could just disband the Ministry of Awesome and tuck whatever she's doing into the Ministry of Wartime Technology, but Luna won't hear it. Then the door opened and admitted a purple mare with smiling flowers on her flank. She had wrinkles around her eyes and her hair was completely gray. Garnet watched as the two mares looked at one another with clear dislike, and yet I could tell there had once been the foundations of friendship between the two. Shows that much regret without having lost something dear.
Do not mind that.
Cheerily. So good to see you again. How are things at the Education Bureau? My host inquired, rising and giving a polite hug. Cheerily seemed quite relieved to have somebody to talk to. Things are, well, like they are everywhere, I suppose. Thank you for working with the Ministry of Image for us, Garnet. Sometimes it seems we always get bumped down the priority queue. If it wasn't for your help, we'd probably never get the materials we needed. Then Shirley frowned. Though, could you please tell them that the Ministry of Peace's schools don't need their more creative history books? I received a text telling how ancient zebras practice ritual sacrifice. Aha, yes.
You will learn more about the OIA in the future chapters. Okay, thank you. I am so sorry whatever the fuck that just happened. Forget that it's still there.
Sometimes the Ministry of Image can get a touch inventive with their textbooks. I didn't have a clue what they were talking about. If zebras didn't drink blood, why say they did it all? Since I couldn't get off this ride, though, I thought I might as well pay attention to it. Then the door opened, and all the talking stopped. I'd seen her cast in bronze, now I was seeing her in the flesh. The yellow Pegasus may have been smaller and less dramatic than her statuey counterpart, but as I watched, I couldn't shake the grace and beauty and aura of kindness that seemed to radiate off her. She greeted every pony by name, shook hooves, and talked with clear sincerity and interest. And just touched...
That was not the reason. I still have Rip Van Winkle's Rickrolled video still on tab. That's why. If you're not... And I'm not joking. It's like no joke about that. Yeah. That's not a joke. So, yeah.
Touching her hoof made me feel special, and it wasn't even me. Once everyone had settled into a little circle, Redheart immediately spoke to the purple mare beside her. I know you've had second thoughts, Cheerily, but we're already committed to their use. Redheart, we can't use the devices yet. We don't even know that all the spells that have gone into them. Cheerily looked across to me, and she said that. We have no idea what the long-term effects will be. She turned to Cheerily. You need to stop until we're sure that they're safe. I know you're upset, Cheerily, but we've tested them for 3 months with no ill effects, aside from a few complaints about boredom. The mature mare's tone reminded me of Mom saying, trust me. You've tested them on animals and adults. These are children, Fluttershy. 3 months being trapped in your own body might be tough for an adult who understands what's going on, but for a child, they just want to run and play and talk. They can't simply be locked up for weeks on end. Fluttershy, it's cruel. Then Fluttershy spoke in a soft, gentle voice. Are you saying I should leave the children to die when I have a way to keep them safe and alive until they can be healed? At that instant, I knew that Cheerily was screwed. Cheerily paused, then let out a struggling, No, but Fluttershy, tell me that I should let the children die, and I will stop use of the pods right now and start long-term testing. A year at least. Fluttershy said in that soft, reasonable voice. A pony would need a heart of stone to say those words. Fluttershy, I don't want any colt or filly to die. You know I don't. But I know kids. This isn't the answer. I know children too. No, Fluttershy, you like kids. You don't know them. You never even had one. Cheerily cut off as a soft gasp from Redheart. Awkward silence. I'm sorry. Fluttershy simply closed her eyes as if bracing against an inner hurt. Cheerily looked horrified at what she'd said, but the words were spoken. More silence. Then Fluttershy spoke softly. Me too. I'm sorry, Cheerily, but I can't delay using something I know can help. Slowly she stood. Excuse me. Damn it. Why did I say that? Cheerily asked with a snotty sniff. I saw the specter of Redheart and Cheerily's friendship appear in the form as the former walked over, bit a box of tissues and offered one to the other mare. She took it and blew her nose. Don't worry, Cheerily. It's not as if the children will be left alone. They'll have constant interaction with the staff, me, family, and teachers. They won't be neglected. Redheart assured her. Most of the time they won't even be awake. We can keep them sedated and dreaming sweet dreams until they can be woken up. Beautiful dreamers. That's what I'm afraid of. Children don't stay children forever. They just become something else. The purple mare rose and quietly left the room as well. Redheart shook her head. I'm sorry you had to see that. She put the tissues away and looked to me. She's a teacher, and a good one. I think she's been much happier staying as a teacher rather than working with the ministry schools. Garnet nodded. I can appreciate her concern. I'm glad she hasn't found the report of the subjects developing resistance to the sedatives over time. Certainly 20 years is a long time.
Well, Shirley has a point. Children are more easily affected to trauma, and easier their bodies haven't hardened enough yet. Shirley. Yeah, that is true. Children are more prone to things, but children are also pretty sturdy. I remember the shit I'd go through as a kid, that I could handle things more than I can now. Like, I could jump off of higher places and I was fine. But now that I'm an adult, I can't jump off as higher things without hurting or aching a bone. So,
Though. It's not as though we'll keep them in stasis for centuries. She was right about there being some confusion regarding the spells involved, though. Some of the nursing staff is concerned. There was a memo about spells from the Ministry of Image being involved, but that couldn't be right. No, I'm sure that was an error, Redheart. Some days we just can't tell what's coming out of the Ministry of Technology, and what's originating from the Ministry of Magic. We just do our best. Still, we're quite glad to see the Ministry of Peace going ahead with the
Did
facility.
you just say Ministry of Magic? Because you just fucked up. This is not Harry Potter.
I'll try and get more specifics sent your way. Thank you, Garnet. I appreciate it. Oh, don't worry about it. Oh, just a heads up that Robronco will be here to tie the maintenance robots to the security mainframe. As their control system is linked to the bots, your nurses shouldn't have to worry about them causing messes. I returned to my body, screaming as fire roared from crotch to ribcage. I lay on my back, strapped to an operating table, pulling against the restraints on my limbs. Overhead, a robotic spider on a white broom hovered over my body. Little scissors were slowly snipping open my belly as I screamed and thrashed against the restraints. "You fuckers!" I hissed through clenched jaws as spit ran down my chin. "Bad pony. Potty mouth pony. She said a bad word," gibbered the sewn-together abominations around me as the scissors went snip, snip, snip. "She needs a timeout. She needs to be punished. Bad pony." The children were sleeping. All around the perimeter of the room were metal pods, with observation windows and padded interiors. At least 40 was the best I could count, under the circumstances. In the pods were foals. Some were missing legs and eyes. Others appeared burned or worse. Others appeared intact, so I could only guess they suffered from some sort of internal disease or condition. They all lay so still that they might as well have been corpses. Each had a tiny monitor with zigzagging lines on it. That was far beyond my intelligence level to understand. The cables all ran to a central drum, decorated with a dozen terminals. Running from this drum was a thick cable that disappeared into the floor. Blackened marks showed where the hoof-thick connection had been mended. I wouldn't scream. Crying was unavoidable, but that helped me focus. "What do you want?" I yelled, as I focused every bit of magic on the scissors and pushed the arm away, leaving the foot-wide incision. "Mommy! Play! Die! Live! Cry! Hug! Blood! Mommy! Please! Cookie! Fuck! Daddy! Pain! Skin! Mommy! Toys! Puppets! Doggies! Birthday! Outside! Home! Die! Kill! Costume! Sleep! Heart! Play! Out! Die!" The robots around me chanted. "We're not going to leave them in stasis for centuries," Garnet had said. What if they were left anyway? How many years had it been before the children became resistant to the sedation?
These fools have been under these influence for about 200 years, and they're in these robotic bodies.
How many more before the handful of survivors had been unable to keep the children focused? How long before they went mad and sought over even bloodier and more terrible games? Some phony, I suspected Redheart, had cut the connection between the repair bots and the facility mainframe. They'd sat here alone, incapable of any interaction at all, unable to sleep. They couldn't even kill themselves. Then the Enclave arrived and connected the mainframe again. The children had resumed their games, honed after decades of being trapped within themselves. Now I was next. My telekinesis pushed against the medical bot as I clenched my teeth so hard that I felt a tooth crack. It wasn't enough. A 3-fingered hand reached in and pulled out a loop of gray-pink intestine like a thick noodle. I wouldn't scream. I might choke on the vomit rising in my throat as I felt inch after inch slipping out. And then I heard a sharp crack from the ceiling directly above me. An air vent cover collapsed into the
Please tell me, P21, are you there?
robotic arm, jamming its metallic hand deeper into my innards. Glory poked her head in, eyes wide, teeth clenched on her beam pistol. Right now, she was a more welcome sight than Splendid stepping out of a hot shower.
Morning, Glory?
"Bad! Bad! Bad ponies! Bad!" The robots chanted as the medical arm released my guts and reversed to slam itself against the fallen grating. Glory dived from the ductwork, circling the arm as she looped above me. All eyes were on her, except for mine, which noticed the small blue shape of P-21 slip through the door. Carefully, he picked his way towards the terminal. Glory wouldn't be enough. I lifted my head and looked at the buckles on the straps holding my limbs. Pain made the world black out around the edges of my vision as I fumbled with my magic. One of the buckles came free, then another, then another. Slowly, I kicked myself free from the abominations as they surged forward. Bad ponies! Bad ponies! I sat up, spotted my shotgun. I could make out the orange shells in the drum. I levitated the gun to me and slowly rolled off the table. And then I discovered something truly disturbing. I could either handle the shotgun or hold my guts in, and I wasn't doing the latter. A hot, wet slipperiness moved out of me, combined with a sensation that made me want to put a shell through my skull. It was only 20 feet to my target, but that was the longest 20 feet of my life. P-21 typed desperately. Glory flew desperately. I tried to walk desperately. Had the abominations realized what I was trying to do, they could have stopped me easily. I think they just took glee in watching me struggle. Maybe they thought I was going to help P-21 or run. Instead, I struggled my way to where the cables emerged from the rear of the machine. Suddenly, my intestines were taut, and I almost blacked out again. "Would you mind getting off my guts?" I croaked. The cable was thick. Even with the explosive rounds, it would take me several shots to chew through. The shotgun didn't have many shots in it. That was okay. I only needed one. I grinned back at the abomination's audience. "Playtime's over!" I ejected the drum and kicked it underneath the cable. One round in the chamber. I pressed the tip of the shotgun into the ammo drum and fired. The explosion was barely equivalent to a grenade.
Hello.
I'm trying to do your laundry.
Oh, okay. I'm still alive.
I love you, I know.
I love you too. I love you more.
Also, PewDiePie is engaged now.
Well then.
Yeah.
But it did the job. The cable snapped once more as it showered with shrapnel. With a soft hum, the arm froze in its pursuit of glory. The abominations froze in place, puppets with their strings cut. The zigzagging lines went crazy as darkness finally caught up with me. Crazy kids. When I came to, I felt good. Great. Wonderful, in fact. I opened my eyes and immediately felt my midsection. Only an ugly red line remained, and that had been healed before my eyes. The table I was lying on had a strange talisman that covered me in a pink glow. Some sort of regeneration magic pulled my torn body together. "Oh good, you're awake," Glory said from the table. The Pegasus looked like she needed a few days' sleep and a few years of therapy. Maybe we could get her a 2-for-1 special. "Oh good, you're alive," I replied, and got a little smile in return. I looked at the strange egg-like talisman. "Please tell me there are more of those." "There are more of these," she replied softly. "Oh, thank goodness," I began, then saw her looking away. "There really aren't more of these, are there?" "You told me to tell you." But I shut her up with a hug. "I thought you were dead. I was so sure you got killed," I said as I hugged her tightly. "How'd you get away?" "Red light," she said softly, with a little shiver. "It went on and on. I think they were paying attention to you on the other side of the door. The vent was right above me, so I shot through it. They called me a cheater. After that, it was just following the shouting and gunshots." The wound across my middle had completely healed. At once, my eyes widened. "Get P-21 in here. He can heal his..." There was a buzz and the pink glow disappeared. "Fuck. The talisman only works on one subject," P-21 said as he limped in from the doorway. "I wanted to heal your leg," I murmured softly. "Why? You didn't break it." I sighed as I climbed off the bed, looking at the burned-out talisman and feeling as if it had been wasted on me. "I thought if I healed your leg, I'd stop reminding you of 99. Then maybe we could be friends." He arched a brow and smiled, shaking his head. Ever think it's not about you, Blackjack? I blinked stupidly at him, and he sighed softly. Guess not. Come on, we've got one last thing to deal with. He started back out the door, and it's going to suck. It's going to suck a lot. He trotted back into the operating room. I tried to ignore the drying bowel struck over a quarter of the room. He stopped in front of a large central terminal. Ophelia Stasis System Review. Current patient survival prognosis, 0.00%. Patient intercom system, error, system disabled. Terminate power, yes, no. No. No, no, no. Fuck no. Fuck! I yelled as I looked at the pods around me with their wildly zigzagging readouts. I could imagine their screams as if they were locked up once again. I rounded on P-21. I'm not killing 40 children. Are you out of your mind? No. I'm not. He replied as he looked at the terminal. We have two choices. We leave them in stasis, or we shut the whole thing down and they die. Wake them up! See if they're crazy! I could kill crazy fools, I hoped. Oh, goddesses. Did I just actually think that? We can't, Blackjack. Morning Glory said softly. They were dying when they were put in the pods. They're still dying. Some wouldn't last a day, according to the records. If we leave them, maybe... I don't know. Maybe someday the Enclave can do something to help them. P-21 shook his head firmly as he looked at the wide-eyed Pegasus. The Enclave lost a biomedical team to these kids. They're going to be trapped here for 2 centuries. Are you willing to leave them trapped, again, on the hope that someday they might be able to be saved? He sighed. I told you. This would suck. Why are you asking me? I said softly as I looked at him. Because there's no right answer here. Because she's right. Because I'm right. And no matter what, they're going to suffer. He sighed. I want to do one. She wants to do the other. You're the tiebreaker. And you're the leader. His eyes seemed to say. No. Fuck him. Fuck me. No.
In this case, as much as it's cruel, my choice in the situation is I would choose to end their suffering. Because no one deserves to suffer. Now, it sounds heartless to see some of you, but I would choose to end their suffering because they should have died a long time ago, and now they're mad. If they even get cured, they wouldn't even be the same person they used to be. It'd be an abomination. So yeah, I would choose to end those 40 kids' lives, so they would no longer have to suffer anymore. I want to know what your guys' choice is. Would you keep them alive in hopes that maybe one day they can get cured? Or you would end their suffering? Wason, you know your answer? I know your answer now. But I want to know the rest of yours. Here, I'm going to put in a quick little survey. First, I got to get rid of these stupid cards that were already on here. Actually, no, I'm going to leave those in there for polling. Let's add another card, I guess. Let's add... delete that one. Hold on. I know you got a haiku. Hold on. Just give me a minute here. I'm just... Hold on, I'm writing down the poll. So, so it's, hold on, give me a second here. There's my little poll for the day. So save it. There. I've added a poll. You click the little eye icon, you can do the poll. I want you guys to do that. So anyway, let's continue.
No! Put me back on the table and rip out my guts. You don't leave the decision up to me. I slowly looked at the pods. I can't. I don't... Fuck! I shouted, clenching my eyes closed. I wanted back into that dream the orb had put me in. Neither of them would look at me. I gazed at the pods. There was no right answer here. I was dreaming myself either way. I thought of flipping a cap. But what if it came to the shut-off and I tried for 2 out of 3? Or vice versa? Damn me. Damn me! Slowly I straightened as I looked at all the pods. I don't know if you can hear me or understand me. I don't know who any of you are or what you want. I only know that you didn't deserve to be trapped like this. I'm sorry, I whispered as tears ran down my cheeks. I don't know... I don't know what's going to happen yet. Where I'm from, when you die, you just go away. I sniffed as I bowed my head. I hope that you go somewhere... I hope that you go someplace better. I turned and looked at the terminal. Y and enter. The hum of fans died, one after another, as I murdered 40 children. I swallowed, knowing there was no forgiveness possible for this, and sang softly, "Hush now, quiet now, it's time to lay your sleepy head."
No. Do not cry. Do not cry.
Hush now, quiet now, it's time to go to bed. I choked, but then Glory sang after me. Drifting off to sleep, excited day behind you. Drifting off to sleep, let the joy of dreamland find you. She was falling apart as badly as I was. The only light in the room was the jagged readouts as each pod became less and less erratic, until they became flat lines. P-21 then shocked both of us as he raised his voice and finished. Hush now, quiet now, lay your sleepy head. Hush now, quiet now, it's time to go to bed. With that, he bowed his head as well, and I sank to the floor. Finally, the flat readouts winked out, one after the other. Damn me. Damn me. Damn me.
Why are you smiling at that? Yes, I'm crying. This is sad as shit.
Redheart had crawled into the storage room that held the regeneration talisman. Half of her hide had been skinned off before she'd severed the connection. Had she come in here to try and save herself? To protect the various talismans and experimental goods? Did it really matter? If there had been a cure in here for any of the children, I had no doubt she would have used it.
You win the bet, Wason.
She lay curled on her side,
you win.
Covered in a bloody, shredded lab coat. The body had mummified in the sealed storage chamber. I noticed she seemed to be cradling something protective in her hooves. Guess, given what I've already done, robbing the dead was icing on the proverbial cake. To my bewilderment, Redheart yielded the object to my magic surprisingly easily. It was a figurine of Fluttershy. Her soulful blue eyes looked at me as she hugged a disgruntled white rabbit beneath her hooves. So gentle.
Hold on.
So forgiving. Be kind was written on the base. Her head was cocked just so, as if she knew I desperately needed to talk to her. I'm sorry. I tried. I tried to do better. I tried to help. Slowly, I held the Fluttershy figurine to my chest, as I slumped over onto my side, weeping and blubbering like a foal. I'm so sorry. As I lay there, alone in the storage room, I suddenly knew exactly why Redheart had come here. To beg for forgiveness she would never receive. Footnote, level up. Skill note, speech, 50. New perk, full at heart. This perk greatly improves your interaction with children.
Oh my god. That perk, though. That perk was just kind of adding insult to injury. Oh god. That's fucked. So, question, real quick. You want me to do the video now? You want me to watch it now? Or do you want to see it in the next video? You want to see me react to it in the next video? I want to know now, before I close this out. Since I lost the bet. Alright, here's a haiku. Just still waiting. Could be separate things, but here's the haiku. Okay. We'll do it in the next video then. Red paint on the wall. Pods with several children. A tough decision. Yeah, sums it all up. All in one. Well, if not, hey, we learned some interesting things. That Blackjack is bisexual, P21 is gay, and this story is going to get progressively more and more fucked up. Okay then! So anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of whatever the fuck this was. Well, anyway, guys, I'll catch you guys in the next Fallout episode of Fallout Equestria, or you can just check me out in the next video. For since I lost the bet, I'll be doing the Gen 3.5 over the Rainbow episode. So anyway, I'll catch you guys later, and stay nerdy, my friends. Bye-bye.